Chapter 16. The preparations of the heart in man, and the answer of the tongue is from the Lord. All the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established. The Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. Every one that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. By mercy and truth iniquity is purged, and by the fear of the Lord men depart from evil. When a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. A man's heart deviseth his way, but the Lord directeth his steps. A divine sentence is in the lips of the king. His mouth transgresseth not in judgment. A just weight and balance are the Lord's. All the weights of the bag are his work. It is an abomination to kings to commit wickedness, for the throne is established by righteousness. Righteous lips are the delight of kings, and they love him that speaketh right. The wrath of a king is as messengers of death, but a wise man will pacify it. In the light of the king's countenance is life, and his favor is as a cloud of the latter rain. How much better is it to get wisdom than gold, and to get understanding rather than be chosen? How much better is it to get wisdom than gold, and to get understanding rather to be chosen than silver? The highway of the upright is to depart from evil. He that keepeth his way preserveth his soul. Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better it is to be of an humble spirit with the lowly, than to divide the spoil with the proud. He that handleth the matter wisely shall find good, and whoso trusted in the Lord, happy is he. The wise in heart shall be called prudent, and the sweetness of the lips increaseth learning. Understanding is a wellspring of life unto him that hath it, but the instruction of fools is folly. The heart of the wise teacheth his mouth, and addeth learning to his lips. Pleasant words are as an honeycomb, sweet to the soul, and health to the bones. There is a way that seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. He that laboureth, laboureth for himself, for his mouth craveth it of him. An ungodly man diggeth up evil, and in his lips there is as a burning fire. A froward man soweth strife, and a whisperer separateth chief friends. A violent man enticeth his neighbor, and leadeth him into the way that is not good. He shutteth his eyes to devise froward things. Moving his lips, he bringeth evil to pass. The hoary head is a crown of glory, if it be found in the way of righteousness. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. The lot is cast into the lap, but the whole disposing thereof is of the Lord. Verse 2. All the ways of man are clean in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. In other words, we always think our own actions, the things that we wish to do, are the perfectly right things. They're perfectly motivated by honesty and everything, but the Lord weigheth the spirits. We have to remember that the Lord knows the thoughts of man, knows the intents of man, and he is the one that weighs the spirits and knows whether or not it's something that is good for us, something that will be good for other people if we do it. Verse 3, commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thought shall be established. Those two things go together, 2 and 3. Because basically, if you commit to do the very things that the Lord wants you to do, then your ways will be clean in his eyes too. It says in verse 4, the Lord hath made all things for himself, yea, even the wicked for the day of evil. The Lord did not make people wicked. Now this is a saying. Even the wicked have a function. And I remember one person saying to me that they knew they were bad. They knew they had done things, and they said, well, if nothing else, they were at least an example of what could happen if they weren't righteous. And they had some sort of perverse logic in that, but that really wasn't an intelligent thing to think of themselves as that being a benefit to anybody, let alone them. Verse 5, everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to the Lord, though hand join in hand. In other words, even though you're part of a conspiracy, that's what the hand join in hand means. Even though you're part of a conspiracy of a whole bunch of people to protect each other, you will not be unpunished. Heavenly Father will get you, and eventually you're going to go to where His authority is established. And that, if not before, at that time you will have to deal with the complications of what you did wrong. Better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. Very, very, very important. Better off to be right. And to talk about right meaning righteousness. Not, I'm right no matter what. No. It's important that you be right in terms of being right with God, being loving, being kind, all the rest of it. Not just being correct. Okay? A divine sentence is in the lips of the king. In other words, there's a couple of ways that could be taken. A divine sentence, one covering life and death, is in the lips of the king. You know, most kings, especially at the time of these were written, the king had absolute control over your life and death. A divine sentence would be a life and death sentence, is in the lips of the king. His mouth transgresseth not in judgment. There's nobody, now there's two interpretations of this one, there's a couple of them. Since the king is the sole authority, he doesn't violate any laws by saying whatever he wants to say. That's probably the meaning that is most here. He may violate God's judgment, but he isn't violating his own law because he is the source of the law. Verse 11, a just weight and a balance are the Lord's. All the weights of the bag are his work. Now this, of course, doesn't mean that everybody who weighs things out is using just balances. What it means is when God judges, when God makes decisions regarding man, all the weights are based on his standards, not yours. If you don't do the right things, won't make any difference what you figured the rules were. You're going to be abiding by his weights, his rules, his standards. Then in verse 14, the wrath of a king is as messengers of death, but a wise man will pacify it. Basically, what you're not going to do is you're not going to irritate somebody who has power of life and death over you. You will pacify it. You need to remember that you need to be right with God and with man. That's always a good thing. The highway of the upright, verse 17, is to depart from evil. He that keepeth his way preserveth his soul. If you depart from evil all of your days, then you preserve your soul. That, again, this is the understanding that there is a life after death. And so preserving your soul by being righteous here, upright here, which is what it means. Upright and righteous are the same thing. You preserve your soul. Things can happen to you here over which you have no control. But when Heavenly Father is the one in charge in the standards, those who were upright will be preserved, will be rewarded. The end will be better than the beginning. Verse 19, better it is to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. In other words, to get illegal gain, that's what spoil is, to kill people, take their stuff. Better to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. I mean, basically, there will come a day where you're going to have to pay for all the wrong things you do. You're going to have that, and that day will come to every man.